Wagner's Trinity is in a league of its own. The world's greatest icons, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, all coming together, and this story really showcases exactly what these three icons, the kind of legacy that they all embody, and how they can all work together to take on big problems. From the get-go to the very end, this is a fantastic story. And I know I use the word fantastic a lot, but this is essential reading because it plays all of the characters exactly as they're supposed to be. Batman is brooding, Wonder Woman is full of passion, and Superman is that wise, focused individual, and together they create a story in where you see all of the greatest parts of their personalities come out. This isn't just a story about Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, but this is about Clark and Bruce and Diana and who they are as people in this world. And there are so many beautiful moments that'll make you go, that's exactly how Superman would react. That's exactly how Wonder Woman would do. And yup, that's totally Batman. And so in those moments, you really feel a sense of kinship to these characters because they're built in a believable way where you want them to experience the best that they can. And when they come together, it's phenomenal storytelling. Matt Wagner really knows how to write characters. The psychology behind the characters is fascinating, and the art that he draws is also just beautiful. This is the quintessential Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman story coming together. It does it real justice. This is great through and through. If you're tired of the superhero stories, then look no further than IDW Publishing's Godzilla: The Half-Century War. This is an outstanding look at the king of all monsters. Comic artist and writer James Stokoe puts together a narrative that kind of jumps through time and takes us through the adventures of Lieutenant Oda Murakami and the Anti-Megalosaurus Force, or the AMF. And basically, it's kind of showing us how Godzilla comes about and really focuses on Godzilla as a force of nature. There's no Godzilla good guy here. This is a creature that has woken up and is doing its own thing, and oh no, here come all the monsters. It's a rampage across Vietnam, Japan, China. The art is stupendous, with a lot of very interesting red hues and blue hues within the actual narrative that gives it a really serene and interesting look. And makes it really strong. It feels like Godzilla, but it also feels like a Pacific Rim story. It showcases not just the king of all monsters, but it also creates other heroes or other monsters like Mothra, King Ghidorah. You're going to find all of these classic characters in this story, and it's put together in a very interesting way. And it focuses on the destructive aspect of these monsters and where we as humans fall in. And that's why Lieutenant Oda, it's really his story and kind of his dance with the beast as he's trying to take him out over across a century of trying to stop him. And so, very interesting storytelling, something that's fun to read. If you're a Godzilla fan, this is quintessential Godzilla storytelling. If you're looking for a story that really utilizes its art to convey that story, then look no further than Mark Waid, Paulo Rivera's, and Marcos Martin's run at Daredevil issues 1 through 6 collected in this trade back. This right here shows that a good story can't just sometimes be all about the narrative, but in the direction that it goes in its style. When we talk about its art, the lines, the pencils, the color, all of that put together, Javier Rodriguez and Munsa Vincente bring about a colorful plethora of different textures that really make this a story that you want to read again and again. It's really a shame that Daredevil himself can't see this because it really jumps out the page at you. Given Daredevil's narrative and environment, many tend to write the Man Without Fear in a very dark and gritty way. Look no further than the Netflix TV series. Fantastic show. That is Daredevil. Saturated in blacks and grays, giving it a noir look and appeal. And that's all good, but this story showcases exactly how a story that revolves around Matt Murdock can still be a Daredevil story, but it's stylized to showcase a rich and vibrant tapestry of colors and textures. It's actually very ironic how someone like Daredevil would never be able to see or really experience what this looks like. It's told in such a way that you just feel like, oh, I have to read it again and again. The art direction, the color, it just jumps at you and it's fantastic. Michael Bendis produced one of my favorite big crossover Marvel events, and that is Secret Invasion. I remember picking up Secret Invasion, and the first time that I read it, I just couldn't stop. from the very beginning to the very end. It is just a condensed, over the top doomsday scenario in which all of our world famous heroes can't trust each other because everyone is thrown into disarray when the Skrull Empire has infiltrated all of the heroes on Earth. What can you do when those that you call friends and have helped you save the world countless times start to come off and you can't trust them anymore because you can't tell who is a shape-shifting Skrull and who is not? Here they utilize a lot of characters from Thor to Captain America, to Iron Man, Hawkeye, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Black Widow, the return of certain characters. And so there's all these twists and turns as to who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, who is a Master Skrull and who is not. So it really pits the heroes together, and the entire narrative, you're thinking to yourself, who can I trust? Who's the good guy? What's going on? How can I stop that? And it's such a big stakes story. The stylized entry of this creates this world where you don't know what to do or what's going to happen, and that makes it exciting because it really changes the way that the Marvel Universe goes forward once it's over. Because going into it, there's already a lot of turmoil with the death of Captain America in Civil War, and now going through this, it changes the landscape once again. That leads us into a couple of new things, such as Norman Osborn and his siege. Great storytelling. And it has aliens. That's fucking sick. You know, a question I've always had is, how many times can Barry fuck up the timeline before Batman just kind of puts him away forever? Here we have Jeff Johns' Flashpoint. And when we talk about an event that reformats the DC universe, you know, you have all kinds of different events. They're called the Crisis events, right? Crisis on Infinite Earths. You have Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis, recently Convergence, Rebirth. But here, Flashpoint kicked off a really important event, which was the New 52. And whether you like the New 52 or you don't like the New 52, you can't really deny that it opened up these iconic heroes to a whole new generation of fans who were able to kind of have these new, retold, grittier versions of Earth 1 superheroes. And Flashpoint is the catalyst for that. Flashpoint is a Flash story, and it deals with Barry Allen, and it kind of in the same way that you'd always kind of have. The idea of Barry Allen doing something that changes and creates a whole new rift in the time stream, using the Speed Force, and now everything is fucked up, everything is different. We have a demonic, crazy Batman in this case being somebody different who, you know, takes the law into his hands a little bit too much. We have a crazed, almost serial killer Wonder Woman, an insane despot in Aquaman, a really more mature Cyborg, and a Superman that is vacant. You can't find this Superman in this new world that Flash has created. And so Flash realizes, oh no, what has happened? I need to go back and I need to change whatever's been happening. How did this come about? And Flashpoint tells a very vivid, very real, not realistic, but a very visceral form of the consequences that you take for personal means. This story is sad, but this story is also so exciting because it does, even though it's a whole new timeline and you feel like things will be changed, it's very violent, it's very real, and the DC animated film that came with it, the Flashpoint Paradox, is equally as beautiful, if not as good as the actual book. I highly recommend this series if you want a more edgy, gritty version of your superheroes with a very common Barry Allen who's trying to put things right. And by the end of it, we have a whole new timeline, a whole new world in where the heroes are allowed to create the New 52. And so I highly recommend Flashpoint. This is a story that got a lot of hype when it came out, and it deserves every single amount of it because it really changed the way things would go forward.